Good morning or good afternoon or wherever you're joining me from. Welcome back to Too Ambitious. I'm super excited to have you all here with me today. If this is your first time joining the show, which I hope it's not, if this is your first time joining the show, let me tell you a little bit about it. This is a show that celebrates Black women and women of color entrepreneurs who are innovators, they are change makers, they are disruptors, and they are some of the most phenomenal women you've ever met. And I have a lot of them on the show. And today, you would not believe who I have on the show. I have a brand extraordinaire on the show today, and I'm super excited for you all to meet her. But let me first introduce her so you can get just as excited as I am. All right. So we have today Reland Logan. She is the CEO and founder of Gray Digital Marketing, which helps coaches and consultants to build a brand that stands out from the crowd in 3 business days to attract their ideal client. Love that. This talented business owner and coach is recognized as a top 50 marketer on the rise by the African American Marketing Association. Amazing. Reland is also the co-author of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion National Pledge for the American Marketing Association. So she is doing big things, and I want you all to give her all her flowers because she is about to join us. Show her love. I want the screen to light up. Welcome, 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 Reland Logan. What's up?
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Oh, hey, I like your jacket.
Thank you. I like yours as well. I feel like we're about to go to a party or something.
We are the party.
Hey, there you go. I love it. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today. And, we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of ambitious things that you've done in your career and in your journey. And, I'm excited to dig into it. So, let's get started. First of all, your story, when I was doing my research on you, as much like a lot of people, your business started during the pandemic, right? And I think we all remember what was happening during the pandemic. Pandemonium, craziness. What is life moments? Can you take us back to that time when you were going? What were you going through, and what led you to make the leap into entrepreneurship during the pandemic?
Trish, I don't think I told you this, but today is 5 years ago exactly that I was laid off from my job because of COVID.
No.
5 years exactly. 5 years ago today was a week before my 30th birthday. So I was going into a decade feeling like a utter failure as a single mom and wondering how in the world I was going to afford my apartment.
Oh my God.
It was a
Wow.
dark time. When it happened, I remember I was at my boyfriend's house. I had talked to my boss earlier that day, was given a project.
Yeah.
Okay. And we had all been told nothing was going to happen. I was given a project, went all in on doing that project, and end up on this call. It's like 1 in the afternoon. I remember this so vividly. It was 1 in the afternoon. I'm like, him and his boss were on the call, and I was amped to be like, look what I did, all these things. And they were like, you're no longer working here. I sat in that room for 4 hours until my boyfriend came upstairs and he's like, how are you doing? And I was annihilated. I was in a state of shock. 7 more days of being 29. It was a dark time. So I am fast forward a couple days, probably a little bit after my birthday. My little guy's 3 at the time. He loved Lightning McQueen. And we had every car under the sun.
Yeah.
And this 3-year-old, 3.5, if we're being honest, could operate the remote control, pause it, pull out every single car that was in that scene and recreate that scene. So I've got this 3-year-old recreating a scene, basically being like, ka-chow, like everywhere you can think, on hold with unemployment, number 952, if you will, scrolling through Insta. And I said, why am I on hold? And I was like, "I'm really good at sales," because I had led a ton of sales teams. I'm really good. I went to art school, so I can design. I understand that. Like, I could
Yeah,
put these 2 things together. I
yeah.
hung up, took my last $250, opened my business, and it opened on April 20th that year, which is happens to be another sibling's birthday. So, um, that's
Wow.
what forced me to do it, survival.
And survival is a hell of a drug, especially when you think about, the pandemic was such a time for all of us where we were living in this time that you were just like, what is life? What are we doing? How are we moving forward? Where are we going to get our toilet paper from? It was a very,
Toilet
interesting and
paper.
dark time. So the fact that you were able to kind of think through that and process to create something for you and your son, well
Thank
done. Well
thank
done, well done. Now, when we talk about, starting a business, had you run a business before at all? Like your own business?
No, I had worked at Nordstrom for so long,
Okay.
almost a decade, and I managed there.
Okay.
And if I can tell you right now, there are so many women I know who used to work there that have become phenomenal business owners because they give you such a wonderful skill set. That's why I'll tell you their name and not the other one. They
Yeah.
give you such a phenomenal skill set for leadership and understanding how a business is run that I had a lot of confidence
Yeah.
going into it because I understood how to look at my numbers and how to make decisions based on those things. And yes, a service-based business is not retail, like
Yeah.
obviously, but there's so many things you can grab and glean from past experiences. So I just went for it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I love Nordy's. I love that, I used to work at Bloomingdale's, but not as a manager, but, I was a denim specialist at Bloomingdale's.
What? I
Yeah.
managed the denim department at Nordstrom.
Oh my god. See, look at that. We are meant to be together,
We
Raylan.
are.
We're meant to
We
be,
are.
Look at us, both fur, we stay winning. Okay. Um, I love that. I when I think about starting a business, and especially that you started one during the pandemic, what were some of the services that you were offering? Like, did you go for like one? What were you thinking? Like, okay, this is what I'm going to offer. People are going to pay me money.
Oh my goodness, I don't offer it anymore. I do, but I don't. Um, I thought I was gonna do social media for people, it turns out I hated it. Like,
Oh,
I hated it. Like, nobody ever talks about, like, what they start with and the fact that
yeah,
they hated it.
yeah,
Um, I hated it, full
yeah.
stop. And so, I had a speaking coach. I had this really awesome speaking coach, she helped write speeches for Michelle Obama, and she was an attorney, and she was a hard ass. And Star looks at me and she goes, because my whole thing then was like, I'm gonna help you create a scroll stopping moneymaker.
Yeah,
That was the thing.
yeah,
And she looked at me and she goes, Raylan, that's not what you do. And I was like, she goes, that's not what you do. And I go, okay. And at this point, I'm still younger than I am today.
yeah,
Obviously,
yeah,
I've always been a confident woman, but there's a time in my 20s that kind of like broke that down pretty harsh. So I've had to rebuild it. And I
okay.
was just at a time I did not need to hear that. She
Yeah,
didn't know that, but I at the same time, I did need to hear that, like, in my heart of hearts at the moment, I was like, "I don't like you." Now I should send her a thank you card because what she had told me was, that's not what you're good at. You're really good at finding what makes people special in their business, what makes them
mm,
really special, and how they can amplify that, get attention, and make money from it. And I took me a beat. It took me months actually, because I had
yeah,
to pull out that notebook because I had written it down. I'm rereading some old notes, and I was
yeah,
like, "Oh, shoot." She basically told me I'm much better at branding. And when I reread that, I was like, that actually makes sense why I hate doing social media.
yeah,
And I hated it because I always had to rebrand everybody because if you don't have a solid, rock solid brand and brand strategy,
yeah.
you don't know what you want on social media. But we're told we need social media all the time. We're told we need all this content. But if you don't have a foundation to base that content off of, no social media manager can help you.
Yeah. No one talks about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I make the joke that in branding, I am the step you were supposed to start with, but you run past me and then, like, back it up and come back. I'm like, "Nice to see you here. You slowed
Yeah.
down. Good job." So, I found a coach. I
Mhm.
restructured everything to do branding and do these brand intensives like you shared in the beginning, and I
Yeah.
went from doing maybe $2,500 a month to $15,000 a month within 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So
Yeah,
this woman changed your life.
she did. She did.
Yeah, she changed your life. I think also too when we talk about, especially these days, when we talk about being an entrepreneur and how much money that you can make when you're an entrepreneur, because it is glamorized in a lot of ways, right? Um, but I love that, especially for you during that time, you 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 had a coach, you thought it through, you said, "Hey, this is not what I like doing," and you decided to make a pivot that actually literally paid off. Because some people could have just kept going. They're like, "Well, there's money in it. I'm just going to keep going," you know. But that's not authentic.
You know
So,
what's funny is I do still do social, sorta.
yeah,
But, like, if you look at my process, it's the very last thing. You won't even find it on my website. I'll talk about it on my podcast. I'll talk about it to the people who need it.
yeah,
But, I all the parts of my process is called the Brand Extraordinary Method. That's the name of the whole overarching process.
yeah,
The very first step is to do a Bermuda brand breakthrough. I like things tropical, y'all.
yeah,
The coats are because we wanted to have fun, but most of the time, if I could do work in a bikini, I would. Um,
yeah,
on a beach somewhere.
yeah.
So the first step is for me to do this visual audit, like a video audit to tell people
Okay,
where your brand is missing the mark from a
okay,
digital presence perspective.
right, right,
Then we move into strategy. So I do what I call a brand storm. I interview folks. We talk about like what it is that they want,
right,
get a sense of how to make that come alive for the audience that they want, and I put
right.
it in a written plan. At that point, you can take it and run with it, or I can do it for you. And if I
Yeah,
do it for you, we do a making waves intensive. That's the
okay,
3 days. That's
right,
where we've agreed upon it, we've seen it, we've heard it, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do
right,
it. Then, the secret one is that I'm telling everybody is called extraordinary authority. So when the brand is built, we're then at a place where we can create evergreen authority and really get everybody off what I refer to as the social media hamster wheel. We've all heard of it before. I want
yeah,
you to burn that hamster wheel, and I want you to just sleep easy knowing you don't have to show up every day, but you're showing up every day and you're creating content that changes lives and is impactful.
ooh,
Because
yeah,
most people hate going on social media because they're like, I just have to post something. It's like, no, you don't.
that's
No,
true.
you
You
don't.
really don't.
Who
Yeah,
said you had to?
yeah, it's true. It's true. You don't need to post just to post,
Yes.
it needs to matter for sure, you know? Yeah, brilliant. When I'm thinking about, everything that you're saying about, your brand extraordinaire program, how do you find your clients or do they find you?
It's a mix of both. It's a
Okay.
mix of both.
Okay.
I'm not gonna poo-poo on word of mouth. Like, let's be
Amen.
honest, it's a very valuable source
Yeah.
of ways that people come to me. I also have a strong network. I've also cultivated that word of mouth too, like through my
Mm,
podcast, through, different networks.
yeah.
And so there's ways that, like, it's word of mouth and you cross your fingers, but you can also create and generate word of mouth without
Yeah.
having to cross your fingers, um,
Right.
through
Right.
strategic means.
Yeah.
And I will do outreach. I will flat out just ask people. Sometimes I'm soft about it and I'll be like, take this quiz because I'm trying to tell you that you have a problem and you don't know you have a problem.
Right.
And I get a lot also from speaking. So speaking engagements,
Mhm.
talking on stages. I love to teach.
Okay.
And so I usually am stopped while in line to do whatever at a conference and they'll be like, "Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Sure can. Sure can. Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out." I'm
Yeah.
booking on it.
I really enjoy that about you, because I think that when you are an expert in a particular field, you should sort of share your knowledge, share the wealth. I've come across people who, you go to these events or wherever, and they're just like, "Oh no, that's going to cost you." They're not willing to sort of just, share just a little nugget of information. I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay people for the value that they're
Yeah.
giving, but If you're at an event and people are like, hey, what's the deal with this? You can be like, yeah, sure, but it's a testament to who you are,
I mean, I'll share everything because here's the deal. I could tell you how to do every single thing that I do, and maybe 5% of you will actually go out and do it. The rest of you want somebody to do it for you. That's
Hey,
when you pay me. You're paying me for execution
yep, that's it right there.
and the knowledge because I've stepped in those steps before. I've helped lots of people. But you're really paying me for execution and
Yeah,
accountability.
right.
When I coach
Right.
people, you're paying me for accountability.
Yeah.
When I'm doing brands for people, you're paying me for execution. You can have my entire playbook. Matter of fact, I give it away when I teach this workshop called Profit from the First Hello. I will literally tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
But will you go do it? That's up to you. And that's really the ladies listening to this probably will because they're ambitious, but most people aren't.
You know what? You're absolutely right. And I feel like, some of us are probably getting dragged right now.
Right.
So someone is watching somewhere who's probably like, you know.
Trish, you can have reasons or you can have results. Pick one.
That's right. You can't have both. You
So
can't.
no excuses, only solutions is my motto over here. Pick your own, friends. But if you feel some type of way, maybe it's time to change.
Ooh, okay. All right. Mic drop. Mic drop. Thank you for that, Raylan. Yeah. So when you talk about the brands and the fact that people, connect with you and they want to know about like how they can make their brands really, really successful. Um, what a few things I want to know, and this is for anybody who's watching, what are the biggest things that most brands miss when they're just starting out or, trying to get going, in your professional opinion?
Oh my gosh, I feel like me and you have talked about this offline and sort of kind of online. I think that people become really strong, productive procrastinators. And
Yeah,
what I mean by this is you'll go on YouTube and we go for what's free first. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have to do a lot of education. And I've done it. Trish has
yeah,
done it. We've all done it.
yeah,
But it puts us in this cyclone of spinning. And it's like, I need a website, but I need this. I can't do this until I have this. I can't do that until I have this. I need a website.
yeah,
No, you don't. You need proof of concept and you
mm,
need money.
yeah,
So you have to take your idea and you have to test it.
mhm,
And what I mean by testing it is you have to come up with this idea of like, this is the pain point I think they're trying to solve, or this is what they're pining for. It's one of those two.
right,
And then you need to go out into the world and say, hey, I have a case study offer. I feel like it's going to solve this problem.
mhm,
Would you be willing to pay me at a much discounted rate
yeah,
to help you with this problem?
right,
People are going to tell you either, no, it doesn't sound good for me, or yeah, let's do it. Because
yeah,
when case studies equal, they equal testimonials. And testimonials make other people feel more comfortable to buy from you. So then
yeah,
you can raise that rate because when we've tested it a few times, we hear from lots of people. Matter of fact, if you have a service, like please record everything, get the transcript.
yeah,
You need to know what people want, what they
yeah,
fear, what makes them frustrated, what their aspirations are.
yeah,
Take those words. That's how you write an impactful website. There's more psychology that goes into it.
yeah,
You can't do those things until you have proven the concept and you have money to go make those things happen. Because at that point, that money is just being used to invest in duplicating what you already know works.
mm,
Making your first million, making your first six figures, wherever you're at, it's just a matter of duplication and
yeah,
really strategic duplication of something that is proven and in demand. So please go get money first.
right,
Stop productively procrastinating by building a website you don't need, you're going to change anyway.
right, right, that's true, and when she says go get money, doesn't mean, like rob a bank or anything like that, but like, work towards it. Yes.
Invest in yourself. Always
Yes.
bet black. Isn't that like a line from a movie
It
with Wesley
is,
Snipes?
always been on black. What movie was that?
I don't know.
I
I
remember.
always use it whenever I'm like convinced to play roulette at Vegas. So got a funny story about that, but we'll say that for another day.
That's hilarious. I'm sure somebody will tell us, like, what movie that is. I
They
can't
will.
remember.
They'll be like, it's this movie at this point in time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I should know this. I mean, Jesus, but whatever. Well, thank you for that nugget of information. what are the 3 things that, let's say solopreneurs who are starting a business, what are the 3 things they should do in the beginning, like right off the bat? I know you touched on some of that, but can you like give it like, you must do this, that sort of thing?
Yes. Uh, you must come up with an idea and test it against the market. That's a 1 and a 1.5. All
Right.
right.
Okay.
Once you know that somebody's willing to pay you for that and you have started to get money for that, then you need to go file with your state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to, I love Uncle Sam. There was a lot of side eye there. But we need to prove that you can do it first. Sometimes we just start businesses to start businesses. So first things first, you need to prove the concept. Come up with an idea, prove the concept.
Okay.
Then we need to go out there and we need to register things appropriately, insurance, all that jazz.
Okay.
Then we need to go out and start marketing it. Closed mouths don't get fed.
Nope.
Being afraid to go ask for money. A lot of times in this phase where I'm like, go market it, people are like, but what will people think about me? Hi, their thoughts don't pay your bills.
They don't. And they don't care either.
They don't care.
People don't care.
We see this on Instagram all the time. A fitness instructor is not going to judge somebody for doing their first workout. A millionaire is not going to judge you for investing your first dollar. So the people who are out there judging you, that's because they were meant to stay in the stands and you're made for the main stage. So they can go sit there and be a muffin and while you're a cupcake filled around a party of muffins. There's nothing wrong with muffins. They're equally sweet, but cupcakes taste better.
Hilarious. Thank you for that, Raylan. I immediately started thinking about cupcakes and muffins.
I do it
And
every
you're right,
time.
cupcakes do taste good. You're right. You're
It's
right.
almost my birthday. I've got cupcakes on the brain.
Yeah, I totally get that. Listen, you've been doing this for 5 years, Raylan. What has been your biggest lesson that you've learned being an entrepreneur and building your successful business for 5 successful years, I might add?
My biggest lesson is that I am capable of anything. I am
Mm.
capable of anything.
Yes.
And there is nobody on this planet now that can tell me that I can't. Every time I do something scared, I get better. I am capable of absolutely anything. And I'd like somebody to tell me I can't, and I will laugh in your face. Because I am capable of anything. And if I fail once, I'll do it again and again until I get it right. The end. Because I'm capable of anything, and so is everybody else. You just have to believe in yourself.
I think that, that is something that a lot of people actually don't really think through much about, is having that self-belief, is believing that, you can do it, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously you've cultivated that extremely well, I might add, so thank you for that. Where does that come from? Is that like
You know,
family, or did you something you have to kind of build upon yourself as you've
both,
gone through?
both. So my
Mhm.
dad is was in the Marine Corps, and he is a federal judge. He was a leader. He grew up basically being told that not that he wouldn't amount to anything, but he would be like infantry, like that's really all he could do, and he couldn't be an attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And they had me while my dad was in law school.
Mm.
And so I grew up around attorneys, literally, completely.
Yeah.
And I basically graduated from law school too at the age of 3. But my dad played a huge role
Yeah.
in how I saw myself growing up, where
Mhm.
many girls were basically taught to play small in various different ways.
Yeah.
I was introduced to female judges in their chambers. I was introduced to CEOs, women high up in leadership in the military, and
Right.
the message was, "This was hard, but they did it." That was
Yeah.
always it wasn't like, "Oh, you can do anything, if you put your mind to it." It was, "It will be hard, but you can do it."
Yeah.
And so my dad did it, my mom's did it. I have a phenomenal stepmom who also defeated the odds. Nobody could help her pay for school. She went to
Right.
Georgetown.
Ooh.
Um, And while her mom was going and getting her doctorate degree because she didn't grow up with much, my mom, very similar. I watched her go through school even when I was a teenager to get, like, finally get her RN.
Okay.
All of them would tell me and my sisters, like, "It will be hard, but you can do it, and the only person who can do it is you." So, when I
Mhm.
got into it with my dad, because he didn't believe psychiatrists were real doctors, I was on this journey. We all see how that turned out. I basically paid for my own school. I went back to school and went for fashion marketing at art school. The number one thing I knew would piss him off. But you
Right.
know what? It shaped me to this. And he always says, I never have to worry about you because you'll put people in their place and you will go after it. And so there was times where that knocked me down a few pegs, but then I remembered who I was, and it honestly stems from him. I have incredible women in my life, but my
Yeah.
dad always continued to put in front of us girls really powerful women and told us that we don't have to settle for anything less than that.
Right. I want to thank you for that because I think that, especially when you think about like dads and their role in their daughters' lives, your dad seemed to have given you some powerhouse strength there, which probably because he's a military man, right?
Yes.
So thank you for that, dad. Are you still very close with your dad? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Um,
love it.
oh my gosh, I talk to my dad a lot. I talk to my dad a lot. I'm supposed to be where he is in a couple of weeks, and I'm kind of sad he won't be in town, but I talk to my dad often. He comes and sees me. My son thinks he walks on water.
Mm,
He comes to watch my little guy play football all the time,
yeah,
and we'll, like, make that trip. So, no, I am close to my dad. I think we all are.
yeah,
He
yeah.
turned 60 this year, and I'm trying to convince everybody it doesn't need to be here in Oregon. It needs to be somewhere warm.
Yes, absolutely. Someplace tropical because that's what, you love, the sun, Yeah. So I know you've mentioned your podcast a few times. Tell us more about it, The Lux Leap. Tell us about it.
Hey, ladies, it's another podcast for ladies. It I love it. I was so scared of it, of, like, things that I was afraid to do. I want everybody to know that I cried. I cried when it came time to invite the first 50 people. Bawled my
Mm,
eyes out, and
why?
yeah, and that was this year, so in case you're all curious, it doesn't really go away. But I was told to expect a 6 to 8% response rate for that podcast of guests who would come on the show, and I had a 62% response rate from the first grouping because
Wow.
women are craving having our stories heard.
Yes.
So, happened because of the election. Womp womp. I was pretty upset. I had to fly to LA that morning. It's like 4 AM, depressed, with
Mhm.
rollers in my hair because it was for a photo shoot. So, I looked a hot mess at the airport. And I am on the beach drinking champagne
Yeah.
in a glittery ball gown. This is like the parts of the story that make it even more hilarious. Like, I am sipping rosé champagne while in a rhinestone covered ball gown on the beach.
Oh my god.
And I look around at everybody and I was like, "I'm over it." And they're like, "You're over what, wild one?" And I was like, "I'm over women having to break glass ceilings." I was
Yeah.
like, "I'm sick and tired of all of us coaches, consultants, service-based provider women who honestly are naturals in this space, yet
Yeah.
we look around the room and most books are written by men, most, conferences headline men. Like, where are the ladies at
Yeah.
from the front to back?"
Yeah.
Sorry. But throw one hand up. Can you repeat that? Alrighty. Anyways, moving off of song lyrics. I felt really strongly about it in that moment, and so I went after it, and 2 months later, I got my first handful of guests, and it actually launched a month ago. The 4th episode came out today,
Wow.
at the time of us doing this, and so we went full force. I am now booked through June, July of podcasts that have been recorded, and I still have a bunch of people to talk to who want to be on the show. So it's called the Lux Leap. It's about taking a leap of faith and stepping into your era of luxury, whatever luxury looks like to you, because we get to define that. That's a
Yes.
life of freedom and impact. So
Yes.
for bold moves, big wins, and how to brand extraordinary.
Amen to that. I love that. And you can find it on all the podcast
All
platforms.
podcasting platforms, and even on YouTube if you wanna see our beautiful faces. Trish is gonna be on it.
Absolutely.
So if you wanna see us talk, YouTube. If you wanna listen to us in the car, keep us in your back pocket, AirPods all day, Spotify,
Mm.
Apple, whatever
All
Amazon's
things.
is. I don't wanna give
Yeah.
them a lot
Oh,
of time, but
yeah.
all the places. You can also find it on Podlink.
Okay. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And my final question to you, Raylan, is do you consider yourself ambitious?
Is there a word that's more than ambitious? Do we need to
No.
consult the Thoris real quick? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I can
Doubly ambitious.
doubly ambitious.
Doubly ambitious.
If somebody were to tell me I'm too ambitious, I'd be like, "Gosh, it sucks to be you. You should probably get some more." I drink it every morning for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I have no apologies for being this awesome.
Oh,
So,
amen to that, sister. Amen. You know, well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show today and bringing all your fabulousness and wise words for branding. Basically telling all of us to get our shit together. So,
I love you all, though. I say it from a place of love. I wanna see us all winning.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, everyone, make sure you follow Reland Logan on LinkedIn and definitely check out her website, graydigitalmarketing.co. Had a little technical difficulties bringing up her website. It's fabulous, by the way. Her website is like a dream, a dream vacation. So definitely check out her website. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Raylan, before I let you go?
Go do the scary thing, ladies. Go do the scary thing that they tell you can't do and prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Just prove them wrong and then come hang out with us because we know how to party and we're all ambitious. So go just do the thing that they tell you can't do. You're gonna
Amen.
like it.
Hey, you absolutely will, and do it fabulously too. When in doubt, throw on a coat.
Y'all, it is not even that cold.
It's not.
But we wanted
It's
to
not.
be really cool with all of you today
It's not. Yeah.
because we're those kind of
Oh
ladies.
my God. We're hilarious. All right. Thank you everyone for watching Too Ambitious today. Once again, thank you so much, Raylan, for being here. I appreciate you, and we will see you all next time for another wonderful episode of Too Ambitious with another incredible women entrepreneur who are changing the game. So make sure you come and see me next Thursday. All right, everyone.